How's it going, everyone? James Lynch here for Odds Checker US, taking a look at Saturday's UFC Vegas 36 main card, which is going to be going down at the Apex in Las Vegas, just like last week. Same venue, same location, different date. And in the main event, we've got Darren Till taking on Derek Brunson. This card's going to be starting earlier at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Now, remember, this card was supposed to be in London, England. They weren't able to get the venue secured or get the event there. So it's been moved to Vegas, which is why the earlier start time. So just keep that in mind when you're looking to watch this card. This is just going to be a general preview. If you want my main event pick, check out the next video on this channel for that. We're going to start first in the welterweight division. We've got David Zawada taking on Alex Morono. Really interesting fight here in the welterweight division. Zawada, best nickname in MMA, in my opinion. If you're a Street Fighter fan, he's called Sagat, which is one of my favorite characters, which is awesome here. But he's 31 years old, 6 feet tall with a 75-inch reach, taking on Alex Morono, who's 31 years old, same age, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach. So the height and reach advantage is going to be going to David Zawada in this matchup. Let's take a quick look at their last couple fights just to get an idea here. And like you can see, well, you can't see it there. Actually, the odds aren't there, but I'll bring the odds up here in 1 second so you guys can get an idea of who is the betting favorite in this fight here. You'll see a couple books have odds right now with David Zawada as the underdog, with Alex Morono as the favorite. That's kind of how I see this fight as well. But let's look at David Zawada. Last fight, losing a split decision to Amiv in his last one. Amiv, a pretty good opponent here, so not a bad loss to have. And the fight before that had an impressive win over Abakar Nurmagomedov with a first round finish there. But a little bit of desperation here for Sagat, who has lost 3 of his last 4 fights. Really needs a win here. If he loses this one, he's likely going to get cut, but we know he's got good stand-up. We've seen that throughout his career, and decent ground game as well, as we saw when he fought for KSW. Alex Morono, we know the story here, 19-7 record. Great win over Donald Cerrone in his last fight, which was a short notice opportunity. Took advantage of that and finished Cerrone in the very first round. I know Cerrone's not the same fighter he used to be, but that's still a very impressive win there for Alex Morono. Prior to that, he lost a decision to Anthony Pettis, a fight I think he would have liked back. And then before that, he had a win over Reese McKee. So consistency been a bit of an issue here for Morono after winning 3 straight. He's lost 2 of he's 2-2 in his last 4 fights. So hopefully looking to build off this one as well. As far as the matchup goes, I think it's going to stay standing, and that's where I give Alex Morono the edge. I think he'll probably end up getting this done, but we'll see how it unfolds here. Zawada, like I said, fighting for his job here, so could get very interesting here, but a lot on the line here for both welterweights. We're going to move on here to a really exciting fight in the lightweight division. Luigi Vendramini taking on Paddy Pimblett. You got to remember, Paddy Pimblett's a guy that the UFC wanted to sign years ago. They've called him sort of the next Conor McGregor, but Pimblett himself wanted more experience on the regional scene, and I think that's helped. He's looked like a much better fighter, and also he's moved up a weight class. He was competing at featherweight. Now he's at 155 here. Let's look at the odds. Most odds makers, I'm assuming, having Pimblett as the favorite. Yeah, just a slight favorite here on most books at about -150. So there you see Vendramini, 25 years old compared to 26 for Pimblett, 155 apiece, 5'8" to 5'10", 73-inch reach. I have a feeling Pimblett's going to be a little bit bigger in this fight, but we'll see. Vendramini, of course, has been a mainstay in the UFC for a couple years now, coming off that loss to Faris Zaim in his last fight. Did have a win over Jesse Nairani before that. So he's 1-2 in the octagon. I think the UFC is trying to figure out who the better prospect is here, with the fact that both are pretty young here. Now, Pimblett, a lot of momentum coming into this fight. 2 straight wins. Did just the one loss to Soren Bak, who's in Bellator now a few years back, but you can see here a couple of the losses were at featherweight. Since moving up to lightweight, he's looked great, back-to-back victories there as well. It'll be interesting. Like I said, the UFC really likes Pimblett. That's why he's getting this main card opportunity here. This is kind of his fight to lose, I would think. So we'll see if he's able to come through here. But Paddy the Baddy, 19 fights, really good chance of winning this one. But we'll see what happens as far as the fight unfolding. The other fight we got to look at is in the light heavyweight division. Really awesome fight between Khalil Roundtree and Modestas Bukauskas. Khalil Roundtree, the 8-5 record's a bit deceiving because he's fought some really good competition in between there. But he's 31 compared to 27 for Bukauskas. So 6'1" to 6'3", 74 to 78. So Bukauskas is going to be the bigger fighter here. And as far as the odds go, Bukauskas is a slight favorite here at -150. Khalil Roundtree, of course, last fight ran into a bit of issues there with Marcin Prashino. Lost to Kutalaba before that, and beat Eric Anders, then lost to Johnny Walker prior to that. So you see a lot of inconsistency here with Roundtree. He's another guy that I think needs to win here, otherwise he might end up getting cut. Bukakis, same thing. 2-fight losing streak. That fight against Michelle Olasechuk, a lot of people felt like that should have gone Bukakis' way. Lost to Jimmy Crute before that. But outside of the Crute loss, he's looked pretty good overall, including a win over Martin Hamlet, who, if you guys watched PFL the other night, might be close to winning $1 million in that tournament. So Bukakis definitely has a lot of upside. He did switch training camps for this fight. That is one thing to keep in mind. I did have a chance to speak to Modescus before this fight, so that could play into his hands as well as Roundtree training back at his old camp at Syndicate MMA because of everything being closed in Thailand right now. So we'll see what type of fight comes through here, but big fight in the light heavyweight division. The co-main event, a bit of a switch up here. Tom Aspinall was always in the co-main event, but he was supposed to take on another Sergey Pavlov in this fight. So Sergey Spivak steps in. Pavlov, I think, having some visa issues. We'll have to check it out there, but let's look at the tail of the tape here. Aspinall 28 compared to 26, 6'5" to 6'3", 78 to 78. So pretty similar there, but Aspinall's looked a lot more impressive in the octagon if you're looking at the last couple fights. Let's look at Tom. We should get to the odds, by the way, though, first. We don't have odds yet, but you can see some books have him at -275, which is kind of what I see. I see him as a slight favorite in this fight. Yeah, Pavlovic had to withdraw due to visa issues, so that's why Sergey Spivak stepping into this fight. But Tom Aspinall has looked outstanding. Finishes in all of his fights, including one over former UFC champion Andrei Arlovsky. So this guy looks like the real deal. Spivak, nice run himself. Wins over Olynyk and Jared Vandera, Carlos Felipe as well. But a couple up and down fights as well. Lost to Ty Burrow, lost to Walt Harris. So we'll see what type of fighter comes through in this one. But again, another fight where they're trying to figure out who the better prospect is. I think the UFC is a little higher on Aspinall, so he's the rightful favorite for that reason. But I think he's also shown more in the octagon compared to some of the other fights. All right, and then as far as what the main event has, is I'm trying to bounce back here. Just give me a second. Main event. Awesome fight. Derek Brunson, Darren Till. Again, I'll mention it again. I will have my main card pick for this one. This is just sort of a general outline here. Derek Brunson, 37 years old compared to 28 for Darren Till. 6'1" to 6 feet tall, 77 to 75. You remember, Darren Till used to fight at welterweight, so this is a case of a fighter, couple fights now in the middleweight division. It'll be interesting to see. They do have a couple common opponents here. Brunson has fought Robert Whitaker, so has Darren Till. Brunson has really turned things around since losing to Israel Adesanya. 4-fight win streak, looked really good. Completely dominated Kevin Holland in his last fight, out wrestled him, looked great in that one there. So that's the key thing in this fight, is it's wrestler versus striker. Darren Till hasn't fought since the Whitaker fight, but that was a fight that was pretty close. And if you look at Whitaker, he's probably going to fight for the middleweight title next. Even though he lost that fight, I actually thought his stock went up a little bit in that one. Also has a win over Calvin Gastelum, who we saw fight a couple weeks ago. And these losses here were at welterweight, so you can't really put too much stock in here. He is 1-1 in the middleweight division as well. Really exciting fight in the middleweight division, and with that division, really establishing some contenders right now. This is a key fight for a lot of fighters in that division, so definitely don't want to miss this main event. So there you have it. That is my preview of UFC Vegas 36. Make sure you tune into it. Again, earlier start time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. That's when the main card's going to start. The prelims will be a few hours before that. I'm James Lynch. Make sure you check out my main event preview as well. It's going to be on the Odds Checker US channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit that like button, and make sure you follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Lynch on Sports. I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching.